Hey everyone, welcome to another live stream. Let me just fix my mic here. So, what are the three biggest reasons that you're not hitting your health goals? You're not reversing your inflammatory bowel disease, you're not improving your gut health, you're not losing the weight, you're not putting on the muscle, whatever it may be. I think there are three reasons that I come across again and again when I see people who, they tell me sometimes before they tell me, sometimes this is in like the intro call, they tell me, no, I can't do it because I've tried a million times and it hasn't worked. And then I sort of unpack it and say, no, I'll tell you why what you've been doing hasn't been working. Number one, and I think the most important thing is you don't know what to do. This is an important thing to understand. Like, first of all, we've been getting a lot of bad information. If you were educated about nutrition in the 80s or 90s, as I was, chances are 90% of what you think about nutrition is just completely wrong, right? If you got all the information post 2015, then maybe it's like, I don't know, only 20, 30%, but it's still a lot, right? So we've been getting the wrong advice for years, and that really leads to bad decision making. And what frustrates me, and what sort of made me become a coach in the first place is, if someone says they don't want to value their health, if someone says I want to drink and I want to smoke and I want to eat cake, that's your business. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, right? Live your life how you want. But if someone says I want to be healthy and I'm doing things that I think are healthy, but they're doing the wrong things, then that makes me really angry because it's like, dude, we know that the blueberries and the salads and so-called superfoods, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, they might not hurt some people, but they certainly don't help, right? So that's the first thing. I mean, and part of that is also like a lot of people are not really paying attention, right? What do I mean by that? I mean, you drop some weight, you start a new program, you drop some weight, and then it comes back, and you didn't pay attention to what changed in order for the weight to come back. Maybe nothing changed. Maybe you just got used to a certain whatever it is lifestyle, and the weight come back again because you were doing the wrong thing, probably. But when it's amazing how many people, when I ask, um, this is happening recently because I'm seeing some clients who are like former clients. So they worked with me like a year ago. Now they're working with me again. And it's like, okay, so we were really good. Like in a year's time, you were happy leaving me. You were like, we're good. We don't need to do the renewal. I'm in a very good shape. Great. And now I'm talking with them a year later and something's gone backwards. And I sort of unpack. And I try to ask them, these are people, again, they've worked with me. They should sort of have a more heightened sense of self-awareness than most people. But they don't know what's gone wrong. And sort of I looking at it, I'm like, oh, you're not doing this. You're not doing whatever it may have been. You're not doing your CrossFit that you said you were going to do. You're not doing your journaling that you said you were going to do. You're not doing your meditation that you said you were going to do back a year ago. Those little habits are part of what was keeping you. In fact, this one individual I'm thinking about, it's probably the journaling was the most important thing keeping him going. And we just did the sort of introduction to a new session, a new 12-week course. And, he didn't mention journaling as one of his current habits. And I was like, dude, when we look at the old notes, journaling was super important for you. He said, yeah, you're right. Let's try it. Let's do that again. Right. So anyway, so that's some thoughts. So number one, you're not paying attention to what you're doing and what you're not doing. Number two, even if you are paying attention or you think you're paying attention, you're not objective enough to understand what you're doing. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, let me give you another example. So I have another client who, again, was doing great, kicking it out of the park. Saw him, in this case, it wasn't even a year later, it was a couple of months later. And I said, how you doing? He said, no, not so good. The brain fog is back. I said, look, again, now I didn't have to ask him. This wasn't a formal client relationship. This was just running into someone at a party, right? So I said, look, as far as I remember, I didn't make a list of whole things, but of all of his symptoms and all of the things that we did. But as far as I remember, it's this one thing. It was clams, actually, introducing clams, which are a very good source of B12 and vitamin D and all kinds of things. And he loved, this particular individual loved clams. When we introduced that into the diet, the brain fog went away. And he's like, oh man, you're right. I haven't eaten clams in months. So, that's just to say that even if me as an outsider, I can be so much more objective than you can. So this is all these three things, right? So you've been getting the wrong advice, you're not paying attention, and you're not objective enough. Those are three sort of subheadings under the big point of number one, you don't know what to do. You honestly don't, right? So that's one reason why you cannot heal on your own. The number two is that you're not motivated enough. What do I mean by that? So we're going into the holiday season, and a lot of people, not just my clients, but even I just run into people on the street, I run into people in a meeting or whatever, and they're basically saying, nah, it's the end of the year. I've worked hard. I deserve whatever it is, the brandy, the whiskey, the cake, the whatever it may be, the ice cream. And this kind of confuses me a little bit. Like, on the one hand, yeah, you deserve whatever you want, man. No one's here but the question is, what do you like? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to show up as? What do you want to be? So do you want to be the person who, whatever it may be, has ice cream every day? Nothing wrong with that. No judgment, but you have to decide, and there's consequences for all of those decisions, right? So I'm not here to tell you what decisions to make, but I'm here to tell you that there are consequences, whatever the decision you choose to make. Now, maybe the consequences aren't significant. Like, maybe if you're on a very good diet and you want some high fat, low sugar ice cream, like, that could be cool. Like, to be honest, I have ice cream more than I probably, well, not more than I should, because I have as much as I want to, right? And I know the limits, and I know when to stop, et cetera, et cetera. But what I'm trying to say is, like, what are you motivated to do? Like, are you motivated to get through December and make the rest of 2025, the best rest of 2025 you can, and enjoy time with your family and spend time abroad, and yeah, taste new foods and so on? That's part of it. Or do you want to sort of, just overindulge and feel really bad in January, right? Because, that's the cycle that I see lots of people on, right? So again, we're offering a little special, 4 months for the price of three. If you sign up, three days remaining in November. If you sign up before December 1st, you get 4 months for the price of three. That's our current deal. It's going to be ongoing. So that's a problem of motivation. The last reason I want to sort of talk about it, the last thing I want to talk about is really the lack of accountability, right? You say you're going to do something, you don't do it. Who holds you accountable, right? Now, people, when I say things like that, people get like very defensive. It's like, no, I will do it. I meant to do it. I would do it. Listen, I'm not talking about accountability to someone else. I mean, this is, I think, a mistake a lot of us make. We think accountability means accountability to a boss, accountability to a business partner, accountability to a spouse, right? And those may or may not be important in your life, but I can guarantee you what is important is accountability to yourself, right? If you say you want to change, if you say you want to, just give a very trivial example. If you say you want to lose 5 kilos, is it something you mean? Like, is it something you're really saying? Because I want people to be very, very careful. I don't want people to say things that they don't mean, because that can be a really bad habit. I don't want people to be lying to themselves. I'd rather someone said, no, I'm not in a position, I'm not ready to lose the 5 kilos right now. It's not going to happen. I would rather someone say that honestly and truly and have that be the truth than for someone to say, no, I'm going to lose the 5 kilos and just not doing it. Why? Because it really messes up the evening, right? It messes up a lot of things. So some thoughts here. Who is there? We have Lise Smith. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for coming. A carnivore diet will 100% fix IBD for everyone. 100%. Yes. Yes and yes, but also a bit of no. So because there are a lot of things that are considered carnivore, and different people have different triggers, right? So yeah, if you go to a diet of just beef fat, salt, water, I can pretty much guarantee that. I can't guarantee it. Most people, that's going to resolve things. There are weird things like alpha gal and so on that will not let it resolve. But most people are not really doing that. Most people are having dairy and eggs and other things, which may be fine. Like, again, a lot of people will be able to do really well. I have a lot of clients who thrive. They reverse their IBD with dairy and eggs, no issues. But some who don't, right? We have other people who think they're on a carnivore diet and they're having things like Diet Coke, and I don't know what they're doing, man. So again, like, nothing against Diet Coke. Like, if you want to take a diet soda or whatever and it doesn't affect you, it doesn't bother you, hey, more power to you, man. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. But if you're not thriving, then maybe, aspartame is not something you want to be consuming, or whatever it may be, aspartame and xylitol and erythritol and these kind of things. And we can make alternatives. I mean, we do have, I'm having, some sparkling water here. We can make alternatives with sparkling water and what's it called? Glycine sweetener, which is a pure protein powder, right? And some lemon or something, right? So there's no shortage of alternatives we can create that will help. And yes, thinking, I mean, what I like about the carnivore diet, or sort of thinking in those terms, is that at least it's the right framework, right? The animal foods, even dairy, even eggs, those are going to be healthier for people with IBD than most, pretty much all plant foods, right? because either your plant foods are containing sugar and carbohydrates and increasing inflammation through that pathway, or they're containing oxalates and anti-nutrients and all kinds of things that are making life worse that way, right? So I like the thinking, but the truth is, like, if we have someone who still has symptoms on a carnivore diet, come and give me a shout, and we'll figure out a way to make it work, because it's not always so simple. I think that just about does it. Let me just see if there's anything else I wanted to touch base about today. Not really. High Illusion V51. Thanks for watching. Thanks everyone. Tomorrow we're dropping another response video. This one is on the whole Dave Feldman LMHR thing. So what happened, just for those who aren't paying attention, there was the data drop, a couple of data drops from that study, and then one of those analyses, the Clearly analysis, got really hammered on by certain people, including Lane Norton. So I put Lane Norton's video up, and I'm responding to that in some detail with some graphics and so on, just to sort of understand exactly what's going on, because I don't think Lane Norton knows, and I wish these folks would correct themselves when we have more data that goes against what it is they were saying, right? So we'll get into that tomorrow. Thanks, everyone, and I will see you in the next one.